Hi, this is Angela, midmodernmama.com and Owl and Ember. And today I want to show you how I keep a gardening journal. I am an avid gardener and really enjoy working in my garden. And a few years ago, I started keeping a gardening journal, which was successful and not successful. I went through several journals trying to find kind of the right journal, and I finally ended up writing my own because it just really, I had some specific needs and I didn't find something that met those needs. So this is Garden Notes. It's published by Owl and Ember, and it is written by a gardener for gardeners. And I am not a professional gardener. I'm an amateur gardener. This is kind of how I keep track of what I do at my house. And I wanted to show you today a little bit about how I do this. So Garden Notes is designed for 6 months at a time. I have 2 copies going right now. So this is January through June, and then July through December. Obviously, here in Colorado, I do not garden all winter long outside, but I now have a greenhouse, and so I do things 12 months of the year. That may not be true for you, which is part of why we made Garden Notes a 6-month journal. It's also undated, so that if you only garden for 7 months of the year, for example, you could have to start a second book and then pick up with it again when you're back in the garden. So it's designed to be super flexible depending on how you end up gardening at your home. So here is Garden Notes. We open it up. It has a nice thick cover. It's designed to go into a traveler's notebook if you use a traveler's notebook system. And I need to make a cover for this. That's one of my next projects. But if you use a traveler's notebook system, it's great. If not, it's totally sturdy. It has a nice cover on it. It's very practical. So at the beginning, there's a note for me about kind of how to use garden notes, and there's also a list, some ideas to get started. So there are all kinds of things that you can do. I'm going to show you how I use it, but it's a very flexible book so that you can use it however works for you as a gardener. There are several pages at the front that are dotted pages. These are especially designed so that you can draw out and record what you plant where. And you can see I've started, this is a sketch for an area that hopefully this summer we're going to be able to plant out. So I'm starting to think about ideas here, but I actually have diagrams already that I have drawn of our flower beds, which I need to transfer in here since it's a new book. And keep track of what I've planted where, because of course over the winter things disappear, and in the spring it's always a question of, okay, so which perennials have come back and which haven't, and what can I expect, and is that a weed or not? And so it's really nice to draw things out and keep a plan. So each month is laid out the same. And you can see I started in January of 2022, and the first page is the month plan. There's a space for notes, and then there are 5-week columns. And because I just started this way and continue to do it, even if they're just a couple days, I include that as all of January, and then I move on to February. But, again, you can do this however you see fit. Then there is a 2-page spread for each of those weeks. So there's 5 2-page spreads per month, and it has a to-do list. It has a place for photos of the week. It has planted and harvested. And obviously I'm not doing a whole lot of harvesting in January. And then it has this blank page, which is a place to for example, in January, this week, I was ordering a bunch of dahlias. So it's a place to kind of plan all of that out. And I keep my pages paper clipped together a little bit to make it easier. But I'll just page through. So this is the month of January. Obviously, I'm not doing a ton of gardening in January. I'm largely planning for the coming months. But I did have some bulbs that I was forcing, and so I had some great pictures of those. And my geraniums just keep blooming in the greenhouse, and so I have pictures of those. Same is true with February. February, again, for us, you could record the weather. We had a really nice big snowstorm. I took some pictures. I included those. I did a bunch of work in the greenhouse, so I recorded that. And then I started to plant seeds in February. And so I took a little glassine envelope and I glued it in here with some of the seed packets for some of the things that I scattered out in my flower beds. And again, more pictures, photos of things that I've ordered, so I know when those arrive what they're going to look like and how I am going to plan to plant them. Especially really for me, temperature extremes, I just record them. You can get the weather information online. My grandfather recorded the weather for decades at his house, but of course we don't necessarily need to do that anymore. But if that's something that's interests you, or rainfall or whatever, there's room here to make those records. I had often thought as we were designing this, that somebody who's into recording like rainfall and weather patterns, maybe this becomes that spread. And that's what this is all about. You can use it in whatever way you want to use it. So now we're here to March, and this is where this spread for me becomes more and more important. So here I have laid out all of the seeds that I need to plant this month. And every time I get those seed blocks done, then I just cross it off my list. And you can see I'm feeling rather ambitious. And so I have a lot of seeds to plant in March, and the same is true in April. And I actually created a spreadsheet where I put in all of those seeds. And then I transferred that over to make it a checklist for the next couple of months, so that I have it all in one place. It's all in the greenhouse, and I can just check it off and keep track. And what I do is at the beginning of the week, I pull all of these seeds out of my seed storage, and then I'm ready to go. I know what I need to do. I have it all laid out. And then I just work through those seed packets and plant stuff as we go. So that's what I've been working on. And then I write down that way too. I also have a record of the date that I have actually started the seeds. It's not just the checklist and the week, but it's that on the 2nd, I started this particular seed. And I'm also taking pictures as some of the seedlings are emerging. So on March 2nd, I had salvia seedlings come up, for example. And so I have a picture of those. And on March 3rd, I noticed that my first tulips have come up, or starting to come up. They're buried in snow today, but they are coming up, and fortunately tulips don't mind snow at all. So I'm just keeping records as we go, and here we are for this week. And I've got things to do. I've got jobs to do for my weekend. Not right now because it's still snowy outside, but next weekend when it's going to be warmer, I've got things to do. And so as I think of tasks, I put them down, and then I'll record the seeds. I've got a bunch of things that I need to plant this week, so that will happen here. In the middle of the book, there's also another dotted page spread in between months. And so it's another place where you can record things or add photographs or whatever you're interested in. And then, like I said, this is 6 months. So I've got all those months in the end, toward the end. At the back of the book, there are several pages of, I guess this is the first one, of blank spreads. And one of the things I did, I have ordered a bunch of dahlia tubers this year, most of which are new to me. I had 2 varieties last year, and I'm going to almost 20 this year, which is a lot. And I'm not going to remember when those tubers arrive what exactly they're supposed to look like, so that I can plan for them. So I've created this little chart, and I'll keep going, and I've noted, for me, I've noted where I purchased the tuber, what year I got the tubers, and a photograph taken from each grower's website of what it's supposed to look like. And that way I can plan a little bit about where they should go in the garden. And also I can keep track of what I'm supposed to be getting too, because those orders will start to arrive fairly soon. So I have some blank pages still to work with, obviously, which is great. The places to make notes. I also have some notes here. We are going to need to do some sod this year. We have a small area that I'm going to plant some grass, and so I've been making notes about that. I have a soil blocking recipe that I found online that has worked pretty well. So I've got that recorded here, and I'm making a list of tree ideas because we need to get some trees in our front yard, a tree at least, maybe more than one, and so I'm keeping notes, making plans, that kind of thing. In the back, I have glued in an envelope. This is one of my favorite things to do in a journal, is to glue in an envelope, because it's a great place to keep like loose stuff. So this is just a basic envelope. I glued it in, and this is actually my seed spreadsheet. So I have that all worked out, where I ordered things from, all that kind of stuff. So I can reference this if I need to, but I find that tracking what I've planted and what I haven't in the book by hand is just a lot easier for me on the fly. So that's a great kind of master list, and then I use it this way to track everything. This way, next winter, when I am sitting down and planning things, I can look at, I'll have made notes over time on what has been successful and what hasn't. One of the notes I know that I have made is that I need to buy more daffodils to force, because they have been such a joy. I had 2 bulbs that I didn't end up putting in the ground, and I thought, oh, I'll just try to force them and see how it works. Well, they were fantastic. I had never forced daffodils before. I've done amaryllis and other bulbs, but I'd never forced daffodils, and they have been such a spark of joy in January and February especially. So I'm going to have to buy some more and force them for next year. So that's one of the notes that I've made. And this way, next fall, I'm not thinking, oh, I don't remember what I should order and what I shouldn't, and what worked well and what didn't. I have it all written down, and it is, and when I planted it, and that way, if it doesn't work, then I can go back and look at it from a very detailed perspective and say, okay, so this didn't work. Why didn't it work? And what can I evaluate to make a change? So the other journals that I have kept, that's what I have done. And I just kind of have gone week by week and made notes, and it works really well. This is garden notes. This is how I keep notes about my garden and gardening and houseplants and everything else. I hope this was helpful to you. If it was, please like and subscribe. I really appreciate your support, and I wish you the best of luck. Garden Notes is available on my website. I'll put all the links below, but it's available. It'll be available for sale on MidmoderNMama.com and Owl and Ember, and in the Owl and Ember Etsy shop. Thanks so much. Bye.